Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Sorry, Kyle, don't worry. You didn't interrupt me because I haven't unmuted you yet, but I almost missed the thing. I forgot I hit start on the music, to be perfectly honest with you. The wheel of Kyle has been discovered once again by another guest. Folks, this is Local Chat. I'm your host, Will Crosby. Joining me this week is the wonderful and lovely David from Save Data. And hello. And also, sorry, I should have paused longer. And also, Kyle's here as well, also lovely and perfect. Ian's
but
not
from
here.
Save Data.
But not from Save Data. Soon to be from Save Data. He's actually defecting. Like a Russian agent.
They offered me a better contract, so.
Yeah, actual money.
Oh, we don't get paid.
Oh, never mind. Folks, no Ian this week. He's out on assignment, getting all the latest news and stuff from wherever the fuck he goes when he's not here. So look forward to that next week when he gets back. This week, I don't know if you guys know this week is actually the 173rd episode of this here show, which actually has no significance at all. I just couldn't think of what to say next. And I just wanted to point that out, that we've done this 173 times, and that feels like an exaggeration. Because, God, gosh,
more than 3 years worth.
I know. It's about time we sunset this.
Well, I mean, this experiment has gone on long enough.
Yeah.
But no, it's funny because I think of all the other podcasts that have started since we started and how many more subscribers they all have than we do. Where it's like Digital Foundry started their like weekly gaming. You can get it as a podcast, and then like the Friends Per Second podcast from like Skill Up, that they've done like 12 episodes and they already have like 1 million subscribers. It's just like one of those things.
All
where it's
of
like
these people that already had established brands.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how that works. If you somehow, not that I'm pointing fingers at anyone we might mutually know, but it's funny how if you attach yourself to someone who's successful, the thing you do with them tends to be successful automatically, like right out the gate. So I'm not talking about you, David. We're talking about.
Oh, I knew it.
Sorry.
Listen,
Save Data is not successful.
I would never say that Save Data was successful.
Yeah, that wouldn't even cross my mind. Yeah, I'm not even in an email.
Data is successful when I get my job.
There you go.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a while, and I was just telling someone about this the other day, and I was like, hey, like, we decided to talk about video games every week, and we might as well stream it, because what the hell not? It makes us come here and do it. It's crazy. Every Thursday for the past 3 years, basically, I've been sitting here and hosting this, and it's wild to think about. We've rarely missed an episode, and I've also rarely missed an episode, it's weird. It's very weird. Sorry.
This is something. It feels like something you're doing purely for use in your resume, where it's like streamed, over 200 episodes of internationally viewed, podcast series.
And I can legitimately say that.
Renowned.
Renowned. Yeah.
Renowned.
We have listeners on Mars. It's crazy.
It's true.
Yeah. Curiosity.
I mean, hey, listen, Carl loves the show, so like, there you go, internationally renowned.
I thought he was on Mars, so I got excited.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
sweet. Folks, that's the chit chat section. I didn't have anything, so that's what you're getting. That
was chit chat.
That was chit chat.
Perfect.
There was chit. There was chat. Chit is.
I had nothing too, so like that was good.
Is a currency in something, right? Or is chit just like a little like
isn't
a
it
bit
the currency for like Citizen Sleeper or something like that?
Oh,
there's like a credit chit. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that like something, I don't know. Feels like Star Wars.
Yeah, it does feel like Star Wars. Ugh, Star Wars. God.
It's gross. The official definition of a chit is apparently a short official note, memorandum, or voucher, typically recording a sum owed.
I was ready for it to be like, it's the worst slur you can say on a podcast. Like, oh no, what have we done?
We all said it.
It's a Tarhead situation all over again.
No coming back from that.
Yeah, they'd have to cancel us. Moving on then to the video game section of this here podcast. I have a bunch of games on here. I'm gonna go through them. I think you should
go first.
Very quickly, as fast as I can. Okay, here we go. Chants of Sennar, which came out last year, I think, 2023. It is. We've talked about it before. I believe Ian played it.
I played it as well.
It is a game that you wake up on this Tower of Babel, basically. And you don't know any of the languages, so you were talking to people. You unlock like symbols for words, and then in your little notebook you can be like, I think this word means greeting. I think this word means bacon. And when you type that in, the next time someone talks with those symbols, it writes out in like italics because it's not confirmed. It'll be like, hi bacon, and you'll be like, that's totally what it means. And so the more you talk to people, the more you see pictures and stuff like that, you can kind of piece together what is what. And then after you get enough conversations and things you've looked at, your character draws different things in their journal, and then you can match the letter to what you think it means. And when you get it right, it unlocks and tells you what it means. And so you end up deciphering 5 languages, I think it is.
That sounds right.
As you go up the Tower of Babel. You're basically doing that. That's the game. I think it's really fun. I think it's a great mechanic for a video game. When people were first talking about this, and when it came to Game Pass, is the reason I played it. I was really hoping. I was really hoping this game was brutal in the fact that it didn't confirm the words until like the end of the game. And it's just like, hey, you beat the game. Here's what the words actually mean. So like, I wanted to like get to the end of the game and think like a word means one thing, and it maybe sort of means what I thought it meant, but it's actually like different context. And so I was like, yeah, I was kind of upset that wasn't the game. But once I kind of figured out the game's not that, it's just like A/B plugin sort of thing. You can kind of figure it out better. And I will say the game also like starts with a fairly easy language, and then it gets more complicated. Like this
definitely escalates.
Yeah. The second people you talk to have like a specific glyph for pluralizing, and then the third language they like put the subject first, and then and there's actually these challenges on these phone call screens that you have to translate sentences from one language to another, and that was a fun challenge. I looked up 2 of them like on a guide sheet because I just had 2 words flopped. The like language where the subject was first, I just couldn't do. I like had to look it up. I was like, I can't, guys. I know the words, I just can't figure it out. But it was fun to be like, oh, this language puts the pluralize after the word and before, and so mixing that all together. It does have like a fake out ending, and then you do the real ending, which I thought was really fun. Overall, it was a good time. If you have Game Pass and you like puzzle games, I highly recommend checking out Chants of Sennar.
I really liked that game. Like, it was in my top 10 last year.
I was trying to think if it would have been in my top 10, and I don't think so. But
I heard a cat.
Raz is here.
It might be a better game than some of the games that were in my top 10, but I don't think it would have made it. But I did really enjoy it. So Chants of Sennar is on Game Pass if you want to play it. PC Game Pass, and I think it's on Xbox Game Pass as well.
Yeah, I think
I have also been playing a bunch of Pokemon Emerald. It is my sit on the couch game. I have never played very far into. Man, the cats are going crazy this episode.
Mochi doesn't meow when I'm on camera. He just barrels through. And if you saw the camera move, people who are watching, not that there's anyone watching, that was all Mochi.
It's so great. Raz is the screamer, Mochi's the show off. Together, it's Mochi and Raz. Go to their Broadway show.
We found an existing Twitch tag that is cat meowing in background.
We should.
And now Zach puts that on for every stream that I'm on.
That's great. I love that. So yeah, Pokemon Emerald, not much to say about it. It's just, I thought I knew Pokemon very well, but I keep coming across a Pokemon and I'm like, what unholy mess are you? Like, what are these things? And I get to...
Which gen is Emerald? Or which generation is Emerald?
3? Yeah, 3rd gen.
I feel like you should know. You should know those.
No, I know like Torchic, who was the starter, and then there's
because it becomes Blaziken.
Yeah,
I think that's Mudkip Gen.
Listen, I found an Abra, and I said I know Abra. It's been going pretty well. I'm like, I came across those plus and minus Pikachus, and like I remember them, and like Lotad and stuff like that. But I'll hit an occasional like weirdo who I'm like, I've never seen you before or heard of you. And it's kind of cool. It was kind of like when we played Black and White. Yeah, I think we played White. And a lot of those Pokemon were new.
Like a couple of Pokemon.
Yeah. So that's going pretty well. I'm following the strategy wiki. I was using the Bulbapedia one, and then I had that moment where I realized it wasn't the one I normally used. And there's this one on the strategy wiki that is just excellently put together for all the Pokemon games. It's just like, here's the area you're in, and then when you're done with that area, like here's all the like Pokemon you can find in the wild. Here's the new ones you should care about. Here's the ones you should try to catch if you're going for this, you're going for that. And they like explain it all, and I'm like, thank God you're here, because I still pull out my type sheet for whenever I'm fighting a Pokemon and I need to know what to do to it. And the fact that water doesn't affect electricity hurts me to my core. And I don't know why.
Electricity is very good against water.
I
surprisingly.
I feel like it should be the other way around, and I understand why it's not, but electricity's not good against steel. I couldn't even figure that one out.
That's the one that got me.
That's crazy.
Electricity being not good against steel.
And I'm obviously continuing the tradition of naming all my Pokemon, so I never learn what the Pokemon are actually called, which is so I have Todd Howard, I have Bird, I have Meryl Streep, and a couple other people. They're great. I love them. I couldn't fit Meryl Streep's name, so it says Meryl Strep, which I think is the version of Meryl Streep that has strep throat, and she can't sing. So that's my headcanon, at least.
Okay.
Moving on. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. I'm not going to talk about this at all because I started it and I immediately haven't played it at all. So I have played Ghost of Tsushima before, all the way up till you go to the second island, or the top island. I never did the mission to get to the top island, and so I started over on the Director's Cut. Looks gorgeous on the PlayStation 5. Still plays really well. It felt slow.
I figured you got the
me.
PC one since that just came out.
Yeah, that's why I thought you were talking about it.
No, absolutely not. I would never do that. I'm not signing up for a Sony account to play on a PC. What are you talking? No, I'm kidding.
Was this Helldivers?
I already owned it on PlayStation, and so it was just the $30 or $10 upgrade to get Director's Cut. So
I was gonna say $30. Jesus,
it was something.
Well, the Director's Cut has the Iki Island DLC too, which is weird,
which is neat.
It's fun, but it's weird.
The game, I don't know if it's like because I've played Elden Ring since, and that's my most recent like open world swordy game, but it felt a little slow when I was playing it. But I think towards the end of the like 1 or 2 sessions I played, I realized you can unlock a roll. I was so convinced I could roll, and then I saw on the tree there was a roll there, and I was like, oh, that's why. But it's been going pretty well. I accidentally like beat a difficult base early on. Like I went there by accident, and I was like, okay. So Ghost of Tsushima, still fantastic. I'm just immediately trying to find the guy who sells the giant hats, because I just would wear the biggest hat, and you would never see the character's face, and it was pretty great. Moving on here, I've played Katamari. Has become my morning game. I will We Heart Katamari.
MOURNING morning.
Yes.
Sorry,
whenever I'm sad. That was very good.
Spelling bee joke there
I couldn't
for you.
spell that fast. No, morning is in the AM. I'll have coffee and I'll sit down, and I'll usually be listening to a podcast in the shower, and then I'll like keep listening to it and play Katamari. This is the re-roll of We Heart Katamari, which is the second Katamari game. And it's great. Plays great, looks great in HD. My one complaint is it still like pauses to load. Like when you're doing the levels that go from like ant to universe, it'll still pause to load the next part of the level. And I'm like, I feel like I'm on an Xbox Series X, and you don't need to do that. I feel like there should, and I wonder if this was a total remake, it wouldn't do that. But since it's just more of an up-res remaster, they're probably just not caring to switch all that stuff up. But the reason I've never played We Heart Katamari, I've only played the original. Damacy is the original, and Beautiful, which is the 360 one. And I think Beautiful is just a remake or like a retelling of Damacy. But We Heart Katamari actually has, like, instead of just being the biggest or doing it the fastest, it's like, hey, I want you to roll up 100 items and see how big you can get. Or I just, like, I'm hungry, roll up food. And that's kind of more fun when you're not just mindlessly doing literally the same thing on every level. It's a bit more fun. And then finally, Planet Crafter. I have finished Planet Crafter. Ian, myself, and my brother Zach have been playing since April. Basically, my brother's not free until 10 p.m. Eastern, so like 3 nights a week from 10 to midnight. Ian, Zach, and I play Planet Crafter for 2 hours at a time. For those of you who may not know, it's a crafting game, hence the title. It looks awful, and the UI is terrible. One of the best games I've ever played. And one of the best games I've played this year. Ian wants to put it on the list, but it is going on the GOTY list for this year. It went 1.0 this year.
New? Oh, okay. Answered the question I was about to ask.
So there's tons of content. As you're terraforming, so you're sent to this planet to start terraforming it. As you're terraforming it, the whole map is changing. Like I said, the map is very, like, you look at it, you fly around, you're like, did someone make this in 5 minutes in Unreal Engine and just, like, place things haphazardly? And it definitely gives those vibes, but then, like, things slowly change throughout the map. Like, grass starts spreading out, lakes fill up, ice melts, you unlock different caves, you discover mysterious stuff that's going on this planet, and then you're going through the technology tree, so you're going from making oxygen to when you finally just have breathable atmosphere, you don't have to worry about oxygen anymore. Then you can get to the point where you just have water and lakes you can go drink from. You're then making insects, then you're making mammals, then you're making, like, all sorts of stuff to fill the world. And then when you get to the end, you can like escape and get out of there. And there's a couple different endings. So yeah, we wrapped that up, finally got to the ending. It was at the point where we're like, we love this game so much, but we just want it to be over because we're going to start a Satisfactory server. And we're like, please, please, we just want to finish this game. And it's the idle part of the game where you have to wait. And we just, like, towards the last 3 hours we played yesterday was just building things that multiplied out. So I was just synthesizing genetic material to make animals, because each animal added 1,000% to, like, the terraforming thing. So it was a bit rushed at the end. I think if we didn't want to just wrap it up, it would have been more fun. But absolutely fantastic game. It is the intersection of like idle game and crafting game in a very, like, cool way. And it's very janky and held up by duct tape, but it's got that charm of that, like, sort of style, and I've been really enjoying it. So that's Planet Crafter. That is 1.0. I think they're still planning on adding more stuff, but I was thinking next time they add stuff just to load up the save and be like, what's new, and see what's happening on the planet. So that is the game.
Do a Valheim, and every time you want to load new stuff, you have to start a new world.
Yeah,
just like God.
I should, because it like reloads your save back to before you did the ending. So I wonder if it would just update and add the stuff. But I need to see what people.
I feel like it depends what they update. Because if they update, like, the early game experience, it's like, well, you already did that.
Yeah, that's true. It's also interesting. So many Google searches for that game, like, pop up. I forget what the website is. It Game Rant? Is that the orange-ish website? They have like so many guides for it, and I'm like, I've never heard of this game, but, like, people wanted guides for this game, so there was, like, no media coverage, but they wrote guides because they were probably getting SEO hits for them. And it's just, like, it's weird when this game isn't, like, the average person has never heard of it, average gamer has never heard of it, but there's these
actual guides
guide articles for it, because people were Googling for it, which is just funny to me. So yeah, that's the games I've been playing this week. Sorry for so many. There's even Paper Mario Thousand Year Door that I played about 15 minutes of today.
Is that out today, or did you get it?
It's out today.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought it yesterday, and I was gonna stay up, and then I didn't, because Karen played the game as a child and really wanted to see me play it. So we started it this afternoon, and it's been going pretty well.
I don't know why I thought that came out next week. I gotta dive into that.
No, you gotta get it.
Play that too.
You got. I think Ian grabbed it for his vacation he's going on, and I was like, "That's a smart move. That's a flight game right there." Moving on, let's go down the list. David, I'm interested in the games you've been playing. One of them critically acclaimed, the other one by a crazy Japanese man.
Both critically acclaimed.
Oh well, we'll see about that.
So yeah, first one I've been playing a lot of is Total War Warhammer 3. They dropped a new update a few weeks ago. Update/DLC. They added some new dwarves. I love me some dwarves.
Hell yeah.
They also added the most broken unit in the game, and I wanted to try it out, and it's even more broken than it looked when I saw a video on Reddit showing how broken it was.
What is it?
So this is the Thunder Barge. That the particular, I think they're the Masters of Innovation faction. It's basically a Zeppelin with a, like carriage thing on the bottom, full of dwarves with guns and cannons. And they just rain hell upon the earth as they float above everyone. But the thing that makes these things really broken is this faction gets like these missions that you can do, and the missions unlock bonuses for your different like siege weapons and flying weapons and stuff like that. And the ones for the Thunder Barge, you like do enough of them, you get like 70 or 90% reduced damage from missiles, like arrows and cannons and stuff. And they're a flying unit, so the only thing that can hit them are missiles. And then you reduce the damage by like 70-90%. Means they just kill everything and don't die, like ever. And that's not even all of it. They have like an afterburner thing where they can go like twice as fast as normal, but they lose health slowly over time. And they have another thing where they basically have, if any of y'all played Skies of Arcadia, they have a harpoon cannon on the front of the Zeppelin that fires a giant harpoon at a thing, which means like if you have 3 of these like Zeppelin things, they'll take out a general just with 1 harpoon from each one.
Damn.
So these things are busted. Absolutely insane. I like ran an army that was just like the faction leader and 19 of the Zeppelins. And then you also, if you're the faction leader, you can summon a 20th one in the middle of the battle too. Like your faction leader's special ability is he summons another Zeppelin. That's even stronger than the other ones. It's pretty busted. And these things are like siege engines too. So like they bust down castle walls, and like the game thinks the only downside is you have to actually manually fight most of the battles when you do an army like this, because the game's like, that's not a balanced army. That won't work. You're going to lose. And then you play and you kill 3,000 people and don't lose a single unit. It's like ruffles on everything. It's great. I had a good time. Played through like the long what's that, Expanded Empires or whatever the big campaign map is that has like all the maps from Warhammer 1, 2, and 3.
I've never played Total. I played a Total War, never played a Total War Warhammer.
Oh, it's fun. Their big map, basically, Warhammer 1 had like, the big campaign map. Warhammer 2 did a different section, but then they had a combined map that had the maps from Warhammer 1 and 2. And then 3 did the same thing, so it's like big boy map. And so I did that, and it was very fun. Takes a while, but absolute destruction. 10 out of 10. Enjoyed it a lot. It's super busted. It's probably gonna get patched, so I was like, I won't play it before it gets patched because it was very enjoyable. And then the other game I've been playing, so Goggles has been playing Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty over on the Save Data channel, and so you know, me and Goggles very good friends, so I was also playing Metal Gear Solid 2 like alongside, just to keep up and make sure have the same experiences and, you know, same life experiences.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that about you and Goggles.
Oh yeah, we're tight. So I was playing Metal Gear Solid 2, and man, I don't know how I went through the past 20 years, like 23 years, I think it came out in 2001, without getting really any of this game spoiled to me.
Yeah.
All I knew was like Raiden was in the game, and like you mainly played Raiden instead of Snake. That's all I knew about the entire game. Man, Metal Gear Solid 2 fucking goes someplace.
Yeah, no shit.
Like, I don't want to spoil it for other people, but like, got to the end of that game and it just did a whole 180 degree turn into a bunch of like crazy shit, and I'm like, what? I'm a weirdo. I only played the odd numbered Metal Gear games, not intentionally, that's just how it happened. So I played 1, 3, and 5. This wasn't intentional. It wasn't intentional, it just happened. Got one on PS1, somehow missed 2, played 3, and then 5. And so I was thinking like 2 would somehow be related to 3. Nope. I don't know how Kojima made 2 and was like, you know what? Let's go back to the 70s or 80s or whatever it was.
2's weird.
What?
2's weird.
It's just like, what? But yeah, 2 goes super weird. I still can't believe they had to rewrite and redo the end of that game in like a few months because 9/11 happened in the middle of that game being made. Yep. Not even middle, the end of that game being made. And Kojima had originally had like a nuke going off in the financial district of New York. And then 9/11 happened, and he was like, can't do that now. gotta do something different. Can't believe he fights the president. Rewrote it. I mean, he does. He fights the ex-president.
Oh yeah, he is ex-president at that point.
Yeah, and I didn't like. I had heard the name Solidus Snake before, and I thought it was a joke. And then he showed up in the game, and I was like, "Oh, that's a real character."
Oh my god!
More Solid Snake is in this game.
It's about time I replay through some of those games. I played through them 6 or 7 years ago, and two's wild.
Two is very wild,
and 2's still old enough to be annoying. 3 is the first Metal Gear I played, or Metal Gear Solid I played, that I played through most of that without a guide because it was just like a coherent video game. I think the only guide I checked. No, actually, I don't remember if I played it. Did a guide, and that game's still challenging. 4 is okay. 4 is a very much an action game that you can get through.
From what I
easily.
hear, is just a movie.
Yeah, but it's gameplay wise, it is probably the easiest of all the
like I had a good time with 2, and like I didn't think 2 was particularly the most difficult part about 2 is fighting with the controls because it's an old game. Even the remasters still was like, I'm trying to snipe some claymores so that a certain scientist girl doesn't get exploded going across a bridge, and like I'm slightly tapping the analog stick and it goes all the way past, and I'm like, no, go back.
Yeah, 1's the greatest offender with like half of those boss fights are being like, what, like, how did you have to remember how they designed boss fights and be like, how do I do this in the 2000s?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
And like
having done them, I did that when I played it when I was a kid, so like that one I just remember how to do them, but yeah, I'm like, I don't know if I would actually be able to do those.
Like, let me bring this key card to the hot place in the building, and let me bring this key card.
They tell you how to do that if you call people. Yeah. But like you're fighting Revolver Ocelot and you're like, oh, he's gonna bounce bullets off walls at you, and I'm like, how do I not die to that? And they're like, well, you just kind of have to kill him before he kills you. Oh, okay, cool, great. And then they give Raiden a sword in this one. I'm like, I'm a fucking samurai now, cool. And now I understand how we get from 2 to Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, because I didn't understand until the last hour of the game how that jump happened.
And 4 has more of that timeline, so that'll if you do play 4, that'll give you more. I'll
eventually play 4. What sparked playing 2 was the collection that got released this past year. So played 2, probably gonna play 3 and then 4 when it presumably collection part 2 comes out. I think there was a leak even relatively recently saying that was coming sometime soon.
It's one of those series
5 or 4.
It's one of those series I've played 5, Phantom Pain, right? Phantom Pain or whatever. V.
No, it's 5. It's 5.
Yeah. And I've only played it for like 2 hours. So I did like the intro, which is basically just a movie, and then like the first mission, and I was like, this is pretty cool, but also I'm not playing on my PlayStation. Like, I don't have a PlayStation. It was my friend's PlayStation. He had just gotten a PS4, I think is what that game came out on. And I was like, this is cool. Or maybe it was a PS3 or something, but I was like, I have to leave. I have to go home. My mom wants to make dinner. And I never got back onto it. And it's one of those series where it's like, I wish I'd grown up with a PlayStation, because I would have played that. Like, that would have been like a series that I was inherently attached to as like a kid playing video games. Yeah. And we just never had it. So like I've never touched any of them.
Metal Gear Solid 1 has a special place in my heart, because it was like the only game where my dad had like read my Game Informers to kind of figure, like, he wanted to get me a game for some holiday. I don't remember if it was like birthday or Christmas or something, but he wanted to like surprise me and get a game I didn't ask for that was like well reviewed and had high ratings and like cool previews. And he found like Metal Gear Solid in like the Game Informers, and it's like, we're gonna play this game, which it was like M, and I was like 9 or whatever. So I was like, whoa, we get to play an M game.
It's a cool dad right there.
Because dad doesn't care. But like it was a very cool thing for him to like get me that. And it was
That's
a
awesome.
bonding moment.
I like that.
And then he ended up beating the game before me, and I was like, fuck you, Dad.
He cried for days. Metal Gear Solid 5 is probably the this might be an exaggeration. I can walk this back. I think it is the most mechanically solid video game ever made.
I think that's genuinely true. Yeah.
It is so perfectly executed on a mechanical level, and it so utterly fails on a storytelling level because Hideo Kojima was fired about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through that game.
Him and Konami were fighting the entire game on what the
entire
was,
the entire last third of that video game is previous levels, just harder, and like weird unfinished cutscenes between them. It is a tragedy that game
mechanically though. I don't think there is a better video game that has been released.
Do you play really 5? Satisfying. Yeah.
Play 5 on PC.
I was gonna say, I knew that it was on PC, so I'm probably, if I ever check out the series, I'll check it out on PC.
It's like before 5, it doesn't really matter because those ones were all made exclusively for PlayStation at first. Yeah. So like they were all made assuming that you had a controller.
Yeah.
And then 5 came out like at the start with PC in mind, and I was like, oh, mouse and keyboard feels incredible with this game. Like, it's so good.
Game,
which is also incredible from a studio that I don't think had ever made a PC game, and they come out with freaking Metal Gear Solid 5 with like near perfect shooting mechanics. Like, this is incredible.
I've been listening to old. I was doing this for a while, and then I stopped, and then I just started again, which is listening to old Giant Bomb Beast casts, and it's 2015. At least a couple of them I was listening to, and Metal Gear Solid 5 had just come out, and they were talking about it, and I was like, I should go replay this.
So good.
I should replay the series. I also didn't play it as a kid. After I dropped out of college that Christmas, I bought myself a PlayStation 3, and I bought myself the Metal Gear Solid collection and The Last of Us, and I played through Last of Us, and then I started Metal Gear Solid collection. I started with Metal Gear 1 and 2 for the MSX.
I haven't played those. I really want to play those eventually. But
they're super fun. Metal Gear 1, one of them has a thing that if you forget it at the beginning of the game, you have to start over. And I like forgot it, and so I like restarted the game and had to speed run through a bunch of it, but those are pretty solid. Obviously they're old games, but they're pretty fun, and they do connect back to the end of Metal Gear Solid 5 is the beginning of Metal Gear 1, and oh man, that ending of Metal Gear Solid 5 is fantastic though. Man, I mean, that scene with the mirror is really cool. It's not fantastic, but it's a cool like realization. And Kiefer Sutherland, great job, man, saying about 3 lines in the entire video game. But
I can't believe they replaced David Hayter for that. That's the one thing I hated about that video game.
I just don't understand it. I don't know why they would do that, but you know,
Kojima had tasted getting actors for real to be in your stuff. He had tasted Hollywood, and he has not let down since then. It's only been like
just consuming them all,
just actors. Well, I mean, there's that. I think you all might even posted this in your own Discord of like George Miller on the red carpet seeing Kojima at the Furiosa premiere, and he's like, Kojima-san. I'm like, A, why is Kojima there? And like B, why does George Miller know Kojima? And he's
collecting celebrities.
And Kojima has this 1 foot tall lapel pin with the Ludens, I think is the character
on his
And George was like, "Oh, this is so cool," and I'm just like, "What is happening?"
Oh, it's so wild.
If I ever get a dinner with any historical figure, it's gonna be Kojima, because I just need to know why everyone thinks he's the coolest.
It's gonna be Kojima, and I also wish that I speak and understand Japanese. You know, that language they speak down over there. I want to speak Japanese because I don't want to talk to him through a translator. I want to be able to engage and talk with him in Japanese.
Wouldn't it be awkward if you had
those people? I think Kojima speaks English and is just self-conscious.
He speaks it well enough.
Yeah. I think he just doesn't like speaking like that, into a microphone or a presentation.
They employ people at Kojima Productions who, for things that I've applied for, where it says speak English, you do not have to speak Japanese. So I know that he can talk. He can at least understand English.
I've noticed a lot of people who can speak English fairly well are not embarrassed, but don't like speaking English with native speakers because they feel like they're gonna get embarrassed. And I understand that, because it's probably the same way I don't feel like saying Spanish to people who speak Spanish fluently, because I'm just gonna mess it up. So I'm gonna just pretend I don't speak a little, no words in Spanish. You know what I mean?
You mean Spanish?
Yeah, I said Spanish. Oh, sorry,
no,
Mexican.
Spanish, yeah.
No, Spanish. Portuguese. I know that.
Portuguese.
Sorry, Brazilian. I'll speak Brazilian to the Portuguese. Oh God, Jesus Christ! Ian's not even here. What are we doing?
Just lost our one Brazilian viewer. Yeah.
No, there's a Brazilian of them. Don't worry. Damn. Come on.
Oh. We cancel ourselves every week.
I remember that was the funniest joke in middle school, and thinking back on it now, Jesus Christ. Okay, Kyle, please, for the love of God, pull us out of this.
Pull us out of this of Jesus.
Deep dark well that we have fallen into.
Hey, that was a nice little transition there. Thank you. No, I've been playing Animal Well. It's going pretty well, I would say. If you haven't played it, you need to play it. It's very good. It's not super expensive, and it absorbs all of your free time, both in and out of the game, because you just start thinking about the game when you're not playing it, which I love when that happens with a game. It's almost like the Tetris effect, but with neon tinted atmospheric underground caves everywhere, which is weird but cool. Definitely, if you're into Metroidvanias, puzzlers, platformers. Again, when I talked about it last week, if you're not into stuff that doesn't have a lot of action, it might not be for you, but the atmosphere and the world that it creates and that you get to explore is just fascinating. And there's so many interesting tools that you get that have multiple uses that you may not know about. I got an achievement by accident for doing something that I didn't know how I was able to do it, and then it took me 5 minutes to like recreate that. And I love stuff like that. It's really good. It feels like every room has 3 or 4 different hidden things in it that are not easily apparent when you first enter them, and then when you come back through different rooms with a new arsenal of tools, you begin to see the world in a completely different way, and that happens like multiple times, which I think is fantastic. Cool. Yeah. Definitely recommend it, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's only like it's only like 30 megabytes. Like it's like a super small game. Someone they put out a patch the other day, and it was like, I'm not kidding, it was like 50 kilobytes. Like that was the patch update, was like super small, and it was like, yeah, we just had to fix this thing. It was like people got stuck on like one area of the map, and it's awesome. But seeing so much depth put into a game that is physically so small is incredible. And the fact that it was built by one person who did literally everything in the game other than publish it is really cool. And
I can't believe Donkey published this game too.
Okay, I don't want to say that I told everyone so, but like I was not one of the haters that jumped on. I know that there were a bunch of people. I think.
Oh, no, I didn't jump on as a hater. I'm just impressed.
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you were.
I'm very impressed that the first game Donkey/Big Mode published was like this thing that's like getting so much praise. Like that's so cool.
I think Donkey, you know, to his credit, he's really good at identifying something early on that's like, that's interesting, or that's a cool concept. Because I've gotten a few, like Neon, when Neon White came out, that like parkour game, I was like, I have no interest in this game. And then I saw his video, and I was like, I'm suddenly interested in this game. And then it made my Game of the Year list 2 years ago. And I think he's just got a really good eye for that kind of stuff. And the fact that he, you know, already is starting off on such a strong foot, I think is awesome. And I can't wait to see what they publish next. And I can't wait to see what Billy Basso does next, the guy who made Animal Well. If it's a sequel, if it's something completely different, I'm hooked in. Whatever he wants to do, I'm game. Yeah, so that's Animal Well. Next game I played this week was honestly just last night, because I was hooked on Mad Max stuff. I saw Furiosa at 3 p.m. this afternoon. It's very good. You should go see it. But prior to watching it, I watched Fury Road again at like 9 p.m. or something like that. And so I finished at like 11:15, and I was like, well, I'm not going to go to bed, and I want more Mad Max. So let's download, you know, the 30 gigabyte Mad Max game and jump back in. Turns out my save for it, I must have started a new game because I didn't have it, like anything. I was like 20 to 30 minutes into it, and I couldn't find the old save. So I kind of started, I was fully anticipating, you know, like you beat a game, you spend like a solid like 30 hours in it or whatever, and you like, oh, I can come back to this anytime and I'll have access to everything. That was the experience that I was hoping to have, and I did not get that. I was like, oh, like my map is just full of these little it's like a Ubisoft open world game. I was like, there's just tons of things to do. But interesting thing, that game is beautiful. It has one of the best looking photo modes I've ever seen. It captures the aesthetic of Mad Max so incredibly well. And interesting thing, I just saw probably an hour before we came on here, is someone at, I want to say Lad Bible. I don't know why Lad Bible is on here, but they interviewed George Miller, and they asked him about the video game, and he's like, yeah, like we made a video game back in 2015 to coincide with Fury Road, and he's like, and it wasn't that great. And I kind of was shocked to hear that, because he knows more about the behind the scenes stuff than anyone. But like, I thought the product that they were able to put out mirrored Fury Road's aesthetics so well that even if the core gameplay of, you know, your traditional open world, you know, you've got like fetch quests and like all these traditional things that like every game studio does for open world games for the past 15 years have been implemented into Mad Max, the core experience as a player after watching Fury Road and then jumping into this game that's supposed to be like a prequel to Fury Road was really solid, and it mirrors exactly what the movie does so well, and what George Miller himself created. And in Furiosa, the main bad guy in the Mad Max game is in the movie. Like he's a character in the movie. So which is not something I was expecting, but it was like, oh yeah, what's his name? Not Rectus. They're all like pseudo like sexual names or whatever. Erectus. I can't remember what the name is of the bad guy in Mad Max, but he's in the movie and he looks exactly like he does in the game. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool that they did that, but also like how did that work? Like as far as the mythology goes, like Furious is a prequel, I guess, but I don't know, it was just really interesting jumping back into that game and then being immediately reminded of something in that game in the movie, which was cool. But
all I've
definitely
heard about that game is that it was good and it just didn't sell well.
Yeah, it's solid. I mean, it's not the most groundbreaking thing. Best part about it by far is the driving and the car combat. Like it's so much fun, and the visuals are phenomenal. Like it's a phenomenal looking game. I think it runs like butter, especially almost 10 years on. Like it just runs super great, but still looks good. And again, like it represents that aesthetic super well. And the way the map shifts and the different sections of it are just so varied, but also feel cohesive is great. And it's Avalanche Studios, I think, the guys who did Just Cause and everything.
I was just looking it up. I was like, who made this?
Yeah. Well, and I retweeted one of the guys actually responded to Christopher Sundberg, who apparently worked on the game. He was an artist. He was a founder. He helped create Just Cause. He was a founder of Avalanche Studios, and he retweeted from Games Radar. It says, Furiosa director George Miller says 2015's Mad Max game was, quote, wasn't as good as we wanted it to be. And then Chris Sundberg was like, this is complete nonsense and just shows complete arrogance. They did everything they could have to make this a complete linear game after having signed up with a developer of open world games. I'm sure this is in response to George Miller saying that he would like Hideo Kojima to make a Mad Max game, which is a completely different discussion. He says, I'm sure Hideo Kojima would make an awesome Mad Max game, but it would be a completely different experience. And he goes on to talk about just how they had a specific vision in mind at Avalanche, and then the studio wanted them to kind of change that like halfway through or like a year into development. So that's kind of, I think, why it maybe wasn't as strong as some other games. But I still think the product that we got was really cool. And if you haven't checked it out, even just playing for like an hour, there's something really tactile and satisfying about it that I think everyone should. If you're a fan of Mad Max, check it out. Like get it on sale or something, or borrow it from a friend, and check it out. It's cool. Definitely recommend it.
To add to that, Kyle, I also saw, I think it was the same guy tweeting, but I think it was one of his threaded tweets. I don't mean to tie this back to our previous conversation, but he was saying they were forced into releasing the same day as Metal Gear Solid 5. Which is also the reason for the poor sales.
That's probably why he doesn't like Kojima. You know, he's just like, no, just
which
kidding.
Is ironic as well. And then also he said they had a bunch of DLC ready to go, and since the company canceled everything, they just pulled it all, and it just sucks. You know.
Yeah,
I need to try it. I really want to play it.
It's great, and it's not super long. You can beat the entire thing and get pretty far along the progression in like 20 hours. Like 25 hours. So it's not overly done like a Ubisoft game is, but it has the gameplay tendencies that Ubisoft games do. But super fun. You get to blow up a ton of stuff, and there's like harpoon guns and shotguns and all this beautiful stuff. So that's Mad Max. And then the last game we already talked about a little bit, but Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. I have never played this game before. I was not a huge Mario, like mainline Mario game player growing up. I love Nintendo, but I did not play Mario that much. So the only reason I'm playing this now is because I followed randomly on Twitter. Apparently Twitter's like pretty good now. It's not actually, it's still fucking terrible.
No.
I just keep getting weirdly lucky with the people that I follow. This guy, his name is Geo Kerry at XEOKERI, but it's Jianzhai or Xianzai. I don't know if he's Chinese or pronouncing it, so I'll give both pronunciations. He is a software developer and a mechanical keyboard enthusiast and a philanthropist, and apparently he just likes giving stuff away. So I followed him 3 days ago, and I've gotten 3 games from him on Steam. 2 games on Steam, 1 game on Nintendo, which is Paper Mario, and
damn,
he just gave me a download code. So he's really cool, dude.
Does he just tweet codes, or does he like DM you with codes?
Well, no, so he won't tweet codes. He'll say like, hey, I have 3 copies of this to give out. And then he'll say like, post a picture of your Switch or something. So like I did that, and he DM'd me and gave me one of the
nice.
One of the copies. And then the other 2 games that he gave me were Hades 2. He gifted me Hades 2 on Steam, and then a game called Axiom Verge, which I believe I've heard about, but I never played. It's on sale right now. It looks like a Metroid kind of style side 2D, side scroller shooter kind of thing, and it looks great. But go follow him because he's great. He's really nice and he's consistent. He's always giving stuff away, and thanks to him, I can play Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door.
Kyle has found his Chinese sugar daddy, and he's reaping the benefits. I just had to send him pictures of my feet, guys.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted.
We're not beyond that here at Subpixel. That's like our bread and butter, basically.
Yeah, just put the Nintendo Switch on your feet and send me a picture, please. I just need it. I'll send you the code. I'm happy you're playing it too, because we'll have next week, if I can have you on again with Ian, we can all talk about Paper Mario and a Thousand-Year Door.
No, I'll try and play a little bit more of it once I beat Animal Well. I'm trying to get to the end of Animal Well, or one of the ends.
One of the ends. The end of the well. At the end of the bucket, there's a rope. And you go up. Is it are you in a well?
Yes. I mean, it's definitely, you're in like a cave system for sure.
Sound like a well.
But like, you don't, it's interesting. Just play it.
Okay.
Play it and you'll find out.
Okay, I will. Folks, that's the video games we've been playing this week. Man, that took a while. But that means we just have less time for the news, which in retrospect makes it less sad when we talk about sad things. But I don't think there's that many sad things this week to talk about. First is, what do you boys think about this new game Deadlock from Valve? This leaked game. What do you think about it? You've seen anything about it? Should I explain a bit more about it? Have people seen things?
I watched the footage. David, you go.
Yeah, I saw some of the footage. I'm pulling back up to kind of see again, but I kind of just want Valve to make original things again. Is the vibe I have coming off of it. It does, honestly, like, as someone that's employed by Blizzard, it kind of reminds me of a lot of Blizzard games.
I wonder which ones.
I mean, it's very Overwatch. But like,
Overwatch 2, please.
Please, yeah. Not that first one.
Sure.
Completely
Overwatch
different
2.
game.
Totally different. Actually, I think this one is 6v6, so it's more 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's cool. I'm glad that Valve is actually making more games, because I think especially Counter-Strike 2 didn't really hit, I don't think. Like, I know it had a lot of issues when they launched it. So like, it's good to see Valve releasing games. I just kind of wish they were making original things again, because like, when they do, they're incredible. Like Portal, Half-Life Alyx was bonkers,
incredible.
And when they tend to copy stuff, I don't like it as much. I don't think I don't know, it doesn't feel like they're cooking. Like Artifact came and disappeared within the same day, basically. What was some there?
I remember when they launched that. Was so funny.
I think I still have items in my inventory for Artifact.
And like, even Dota was never a huge hit with me. Dota 2 specifically wasn't a huge hit with me, because it felt like they kept too much to the original Dota in my eyes, and didn't kind of like change things. And that's kind of the vibe I get when they mimic other people's stuff, is they tend to stick too much to the thing they're mimicking instead of doing their own thing. When they do their own thing, they make really good games.
Yeah. I can see this, like, if they're I was just gonna say quick, like if they're keeping, because it's very like Dota-ish with lanes and everything, and then you can see like the Team Fortress inspiration, but more, I mean, it's more pulling from like Valorant and Overwatch for the characters and everything. But I also like, I don't know if there's room for another one of those games right now. Like I'm in the same boat. I would prefer a Half-Life 3, a Portal 3, any one of those. But and I understand the business decision to make a game that makes money.
I would have preferred.
Yeah. But I feel like this isn't a good business decision either. Like I feel like it's a market that you could so easily fail in.
Well, I think it's interesting. Whenever Valve does anything, I always try to, and I think some people like to do what I do and like take a step back and like, why are they doing this? Because there are projects that Valve clearly does because they have an ulterior motive, right? Like, or they want to like iterate on something that they think hasn't been iterated on. So like you get, Half-Life Alyx is like the best VR experience I've ever had in my entire life, and still probably is to this day, just because they were allowed to cook on obviously they were trying to sell the index a little bit, even though if it's insanely overpriced still.
I would say a lot they were trying to sell.
Just a little bit. But like if you think about it from a business standpoint, Valve doesn't need the money. Like they genuinely don't need the income from a game like Deadlock. Like they have Steam. They've got their 30% cut of everything that's getting sold on there. So like, why are they doing this? Well, is there a technology thing that they're testing out behind the scenes that is going to be incorporated into something else? Is it because like their what is it called? Not their manifesto. What's their like company handbook that is publicly available or whatever, where they say like, if a bunch of people want to work on something, you just move desks and go work on something? Is it just that the developers in Valve grew enough of a majority to like, hey, we want to try something out and we think we can create something pretty cool? Is that the answer, or is there something else? Or like it, and they have projects where, like you were saying before, with like some of their what is it called?
Yeah,
it was like
card game.
Clearly like were they trying to do something, or was it just a bad choice that like it just didn't work out? So like it always helps to like ask, why would Valve do something like this? And clearly I don't think it's because of the money, but like exactly what you were saying, Will, is like it's such a crowded market right now. And especially in that, where I remember when they started leaking, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, was like the official like leak thing started happening, where it was like Valve's developing this game called Deadlock. And when I started hearing more about it and looking through the comments, there were a bunch of people who were like, sounds like what is popular right now. It's not for me, but like if that's what's popular, I guess they're going to follow that trend. But it's just like, why? Like, and I always try and think of it as like there's something underneath everything they do that pushes something else forward in some way. So I'm probably never going to play it. Like, just from seeing what the visuals from the leaks have looked like, it's definitely not something that's for me. But like, if it fails, I don't want to say they don't care, but they can afford not to, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's interesting.
Their studio is not going to close because doesn't succeed. And it just is going to. It's just a morale hit, or like a man, we made this thing and like it didn't potentially
pop off,
doesn't resonate with players. People don't like. I mean, and it is a crowded market that's not getting less crowded. Like Marvel, what is it? Marvel's Rivals is got some. This past
I forgot about
week
that
too. Yeah. That's another hero shooter in the same vein, but has the backing of Marvel characters that a bunch of people love and resonate with. Whereas this is, I don't know. I think the thing that gets me the most is like, I don't think this game is visually appealing or distinctive either, which
it looks really loud. And I get that it's still in development, but like there was the one point in the leaked video where like there's like words popping up on the screen where it's like sleep, 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 or like stop or pause or something. Like what's going on here?
Those look like status effects. And
I'm sure that it's going to change down the line into some sort of other visual representation, but it seemed loud with what they were doing with the UI and everything, which obviously is going to be subject to change. But I think the overall thing was like, I'm not really interested in it. Maybe some people will be, but like, we'll see.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. Ian, I forget, this might have been last week, or we might have just been during Planet Crafter, but he had a good point, which is Valve isn't afraid, and this adds to yours, Kyle, as well. Valve isn't afraid to cancel a project. So there has to be something, like you're saying, underlying that they think people will attach to. So there's got to be something in there that isn't just the hero shooter that they think people are going to want outside of that. And I could totally see something being there that makes me play a hero shooter. And if it's not there, I could see it not getting to market.
I think Valve sees value in letting their developers try things too.
Sure.
So like, even if it comes out and does an artifact where it comes out, no one cares, and then shortly after it's not a thing anymore. I think just giving their devs the freedom to do that, you know, it helps them. It's part of why they retain people for forever, because like their devs get to try things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Exactly. Moving on here, I'm gonna go through these pretty quick because we're a little past time, but we'll discuss these a tiny bit. It's not an incredible news week, which is kind of nice. To circle back to David a little bit, there's Total War Star Wars is apparently reportedly in development over at Creative
I've wanted
Assembly.
this for forever. I've wanted this for a really long time.
You got me on board.
Only thing I want more is Total War Lord of the Rings.
Hell
Please give me that.
Battle for Middle Earth 3.
I was just going to say,
make it.
There was a Lord of the Rings total conversion mod for Total War, Medieval Total War 2, Medieval 2 Total War. That's the title.
Yeah, Medieval 2.
There was a total conversion mod for that. That was incredible. Just give me that as a standalone game, please, and thank you, Creative Assembly. I'm sure the Embracer Group would love to get money.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seemed pretty well. They just sold. What is it? They just sold something to Nintendo, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
it's another story on here.
Oh, it's another story. That's probably where I saw it. Yeah,
spoilers. Jesus,
sorry.
I was a big fan of Galactic Empires. I am a big fan of Galactic Empires, the card game. Let's open some cards, everybody. Let's do it. No, I'm a big fan.
Turn this into a Wubby stream.
I know, right? I'm a big fan of Galactic Battlegrounds, which was Star Wars like RTS, and then also Empire at War.
Galaxy at War or something?
Empire at War was also great. Sorry, there's Planet of the Apes playing on my computer. So I'm illegally. Oh, I ordered those VHS tapes. I'm so excited for this. Sorry, separate conversation. So I'm excited for this. Give me more Star Wars that isn't in your face Star Wars content. Like, let me do some, like, this will include like side thing, like expansive things, and it won't be like, here's Luke Skywalker.
I want RTS Galactic Conquest, and I hope that's what this is.
Yeah. I also haven't played a Total War game in a while, and I feel like this trappings on it is going to get me back into that genre, because every time I try to play like a Total War, a Hearts of Iron, the medieval one that Xbox makes, I just am like sitting through tutorials, and it's just like, I just want to know how to play this game. I don't want to learn how to play this game, and it kills me all my momentum, and that's part of the reason why I always go back to games I know, because I don't have to bother learning them. So I hope that pushes me over the threshold to learn those games again, because that'll be fun. Moving on here, quick hit. Microsoft is supposedly, reportedly by the Wall Street Journal, is going to add the next Call of Duty to Xbox Game Pass. Makes sense. I do not give two shits about that. I just want the old Call of Duties on Game Pass, because I have said it in my head for like 6 or 7 years now. I just want to play through all the Call of Duty games again. Just casually play through the campaigns. I haven't played them since the first time one of those games came out, and I just want to do that for free and not pay full price for like 30,000-year-old games.
I think I have the original, the original Call of Duty on CD, like right back there. I'm pretty sure I do.
Kyle, I have every single one of those games on CD and consoles. I just want to play it on my Xbox Series X for free. That's all I want to do. Just let me do that, please.
Just use Steam Big Picture mode. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I could put them on my Steam. I haven't used my Steam Deck in a minute. I could put them on my Steam Deck, but I just Just do it, Xbox. I mean, it's exciting. I will probably actually play the next Call of Duty if it's on Game Pass, just to see what it's at. But other than that, that's pretty cool.
Predictably, I have no comment on this news story.
Yes, you don't. Please tell us your thoughts on this. Moving on here, Terraria is going to have a board game. There's a teaser trailer. I don't know. I don't feel good about video game board games. I played the
Stardew
Dark
Valley
Souls
one is very good, though.
Yes, so we did the Stardew Valley one on Subpixel, and that was pretty fun. We had a good time. I think we had a missing card or something, because it was like the Kickstarter version, and something got messed up, but it was pretty fun. I hate the Dark Souls board game. I sold my copy of it with all the... I had all the Kickstarter money.
Most video game board games.
I thought it was very bad. I did pre-order the Last of Us board game from the Escape the Dark Castle people and Escape the Dark Sector, because Escape the Dark Castle is a fantastic board game, and I really want to play Escape from the Dark Sector. So they're making the Last of Us board game, and I'm like totally fine with me. They make great storytelling, fun.
I think I heard the Riot one for League of Legends is pretty good, but they printed very little of it, and it's like $100 and something.
Ooh. That's annoying.
Yeah.
I think the Fallout one reviewed pretty well as well.
Yeah, my sister has the Fallout one. That one was pretty fun.
Oh, I have the Deep Rock Galactic one. I haven't played it yet. We haven't had Vic and Chris over in like a month and a half because we keep having conflicting schedules. So next month, maybe we'll get to playing that, and I can tell you about it. But that is a huge box. It's like this big, and it's...
Would you say it's
like
deep?
Rock Galactic. Yep, it is. It is. or as we call it in our household. Wait, what do we call it?
Dwarves?
No, deep cock giraffe dick. That's what we call it. There we go.
Name.
Sorry. It's funny every time. I don't know why we call it that. It's because it rhymes. But yeah, excited for the Terraria board game. These are the kind of things where before it was an instant like pre-order for me, and now it's a wait to see who the person making it is, what type of board game is it, does it review well, then I'll get into it. So yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 developer Larian is opening new doors in Warsaw. Apparently they're working on not one, but two, quote, very ambitious RPGs. We talked about this a while ago when they said their next game wasn't Baldur's Gate 4, and that made Kyle extremely happy immediately. Because
I was very happy.
This man hates Baldur's Gate 3. But really? I wanted to say, I think we talked about like what sort of settings we would want to see that style of, and I'm reduced. That's a reduction. You don't hate. I don't think you hate it, yeah. But you did beat the entire game, which is more than I played it.
I spent like 150 hours playing that game, and I did not have a good time. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So I just want to ask you guys...
I remember you talking about that. I was on that show. Never mind.
What?
I was like, David, weren't you there?
I remember this now. Yeah, it just took a second.
I have no memory of these episodes after they air. So we talked about... I think my pitch was like, I would love to see them tackle some sort of science fiction universe,
that was
like
be my
original thing. So let's hear your pitches. What do we think for do you think they make another... Do you think one of those games is another Divinity?
I would bet a lot of money one of them's Divinity Original Sin 3. And my bet for the other would be a sci-fi game. I don't know.
Sci-fi.
I don't know if it would be a OP, like original property or something else. But
oh yeah, who do you think they would team up with for sci-fi? If that's where we're leaning.
Say Warhammer, because they license to everything, but also
they license to us.
There's so many Warhammer games that like I don't know that Larian would want to do that.
I feel like this is kind of stupid, and this is a pie in the sky thing. I feel like there's a way forward for that, and not that they're gonna make a huge mistake. They might, but there's a way forward for them with licensing like older sci-fi novels and stuff like that. Like I would love to see a video game of like Ender's Game, which game is in the title, but like an RPG like Ender's Game sort of thing. Not that. Also preface that Orson Scott Card's a piece of shit. But sorry, not to.
The book's great. He's a piece of shit.
The book is great. He's a piece of shit. Absolutely. But like, I feel like there's so if they want to go the sci-fi route and they don't want to come up with their own mythology, there's a gamut of hugely popular older science fiction novels and series that like are ripe for having an RPG made of them. So talk to Jake.
I'm not a big reader, but I would love for Larian to do to a sci-fi book series what CD Projekt did for The Witcher.
Yeah, I think
I would love to see them do that for some sci-fi universe and make it go from no one outside of some random European country has ever heard of this series to, oh, this is huge, like everyone loves this, now everyone's buying the books and the original author is getting paid appropriately, unlike the Witcher author.
I was Jake currently just read one of my favorite books of all time. Which is
The Hollow Sun.
The Hollow Sun. Get your actually I should plug that later. Remind me to plug that later.
Okay.
No, Childhood's End by Arthur C. Clarke. I read it. That and The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. I reread those every couple of years because they're just so fantastic. But I actually have a message waiting from him with bated breath. I asked if he had read Rendezvous with Rama, which is another Clarke book, because I think you're talking about older sci-fi series. I think Rendezvous with Rama would be a fantastic RPG, Larian, or any just video game adaptation, because it's basically this giant ship of an object shows up in Earth's orbit, and they send up a scientist crew to go on board, and it's. And the premise, the beginning of the novel,
it's called,
like
it's
they
called
get
Destiny.
there,
They did that already. It's called Destiny. Yeah.
And the ship's just empty, but it's like a world. It's like it's got if you ever see the pictures of the influence of like Ringworld and Rama is like it's a cylinder and the whole inside of it. Actually, the end of Interstellar, that place where what's his face is Matthew McConaughey. It's just a cylinder. Tesseract? It's a after the Tesseract. It's a cylinder, and then the inside spaceship of the cylinder is all like life and everything. So, that's a great book series. I could see them. I could also see them teaming up with like I don't know, an RPG set on a planet in Star Trek, or an RPG set on a random planet in Star Wars.
Star Trek, I could get behind.
I think if I'm being honest,
Stargate.
Considering they're dropping Dungeons and Dragons, I feel like they're not gonna license from like a big IP again. I feel like if they do anything, it'll be like, hey, let's get a book that's not been adapted and adapt it.
Campfire Night in the chat, actually an interesting suggestion. An iRobot detective game. I wouldn't necessarily do iRobot, but like Isaac Asimov detective game. I think that could be really cool.
I'm reading through Foundation right now, and I don't think a Foundation RPG would be very good because it takes place really over hundreds of years. Yeah. But I think a like when the height of the First Empire on Trantor, which is basically Coruscant, like that would be a cool RPG where it's like the mix of like high fantasy with sci-fi. Like
just a cool setting.
Yeah, that cool setting. I think that would be neat. And then like a detective story.
Sci-fi detective story, I would want the people who did Disco Elysium to do that if they still existed. But that studio kind of scattered to the winds.
Who knows what happened? Yeah.
Or they scattered to the winds. The Mass Effect Citadel Garrus detective.
Yeah. Great.
That was a dream.
Lots of elevators.
Lots of oh god, so many elevators. Oh. Love a good elevator.
Hide all your loading. Yeah.
Oh, it's hidden, all right. Hidden in plain 5-minute wait time sight. Anyways, I'm excited for Larian, whatever they do next. Despite what you think about their game, critical success. Great. I mean, fantastic developers. It's a piece of shit. I hope they all die and get shut down. I'm kidding.
Whatever they do next, I would like it to be smaller than Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
that's my one thing. Yeah, please be smaller.
It was very ambitious, and they hit a lot of those marks. But a tighter, smaller Disco Elysium-sized game, I think they would absolutely not. Also, it doesn't have to be a CRPG. They could try something else.
Yeah, it doesn't, but boy, do they have a really good engine for it at this point.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, Nintendo, we touched on this. Nintendo acquired Shiver Entertainment from Embracer. They are known for doing the ports of Hogwarts Legacy. I almost said Hogwarts
to
Lego.
Switch. Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy to Switch, as well as what was the other one? Something else.
I think it was Mortal Kombat 11.
Mortal Kombat, yes. Which
not the most recent one, the one before that.
Yeah.
And the most recent one was not a good Switch port.
Yeah, no, it was not. Trust me. And this is mostly just a business move, bringing that in house to facilitate more of those
this
transfers of larger games. It is surprising.
Like, other publishers don't, like, first party don't do that. Like, they don't have porting houses that other people use. So
They're like,
this surprises me. Like, PlayStation bought Nixxes to port their games to PC. They didn't buy Nixxes they didn't buy Nixxes to port other games that other people make to PC. They're like, no, this is for our games.
I feel like Nintendo's like, we don't know how to do this. We'll just buy someone who does. Like,
well, yeah, but they're known for porting to Switch. So I'm like, I don't know what they're doing with this studio.
Yeah,
I wonder if this is a wind up to be like, either a scenario is this company is going to help them port things to the Switch 2 and like get that infrastructure ready, or they're gearing up and bringing them in-house to port other people's games to the Switch 2 when that gets announced.
That's what I don't get. No one does that. So if Nintendo's doing that, that's potentially really cool.
It's a cool move.
But it's a totally, like, other first party publishers do not do that.
Yeah.
They'll have advisory people that can, like, advise you on, you know, the PlayStation SDK or the Xbox SDK to, like, help you, but they don't have a studio dedicated to porting that's like, yeah, we'll help you out. That's not a thing. So I'm interested in what they're doing with this one.
We'll keep an eye on it for sure, and we'll always get expert information, obviously. And then finally, the big news from this week was Atari acquired IGN Entertainment acquired.
Wait, can we talk about that for 5 seconds?
We can talk about Atari acquires Intellivision brand 30 years after.
I just love that they excluded the Amico to specifically fuck over Tommy Tallarico. That's all. That's the only point I wanted to make, is they bought
Tommy
Intellivision and everything they have except for the Amico.
star of Cribs.
I know, I was going to say star of a real episode of Cribs. Don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's the Mike Micah, studio head of Digital Eclipse, said uniting Atari and Intellivision after 45 years ends the longest running console war in history. It's just adorable. It's so funny.
Very cute.
So excited for that. Yes, but IGN Entertainment, the group that run the business group, so not IGN directly, acquires Eurogamer, GI. That's GI. That's not
Game Industry is. I don't know why they abbreviated like that in the news story. I kept
thinking it was Game Informer, and I'm like, what? So
I also
Game
thought
Industry
it was Game Informer when I saw this story.
Yeah, VG247. Oh God, Rock Paper Scissors. I can't speak for the
Rock
rest
Paper
of my
Shotgun
day.
and
Rock
more.
Paper Shotgun and more. You know, and then they immediately fired and laid off a bunch of people, which sucks. Notably, they laid off
Brendan Sinclair.
Thank you, Brendan Sinclair, who had been at their GameIndustry.biz for over like 15 years.
He's so good.
And writing
I
weekly
cannot
articles.
believe they laid him off. Like, he's so fucking good at his job.
It's probably expensive.
Listen, I'll harp on this.
Worth it, but
all the time. They are making a business move, and then they are doing we're not letting you go. We're letting you go for a numbers thing. We're not letting you go because you're bad at your job or you're good at your job, which is the opposite of what you should be doing when you're buying a thing, but it's hard to do that. So, like, it's just so stupid when stuff like that happens.
It's not that hard. They don't have that many writers.
No,
we're
but
talking about like
it's a business entity looking at
integrate.
It's a business entity saying, why is this one person getting paid so much money? If we cut them, we can afford 10 more people to write news articles without understanding what's going on.
Guides, but
yeah. So it sucks. So I think on the Next Later podcast they were saying Fandom, IGN, and ReadPop now own or Fandom, Ziff Davis, and ReadPop own most of the video game media coverage.
Well, I think they
Fandom is
bought
so
these
bad.
people from ReedPop.
But ReedPop maintain or kept EGX.
They kept a couple, but like,
and a couple other things. The UK versions of a couple things.
Yeah.
I just pray that nothing bad happens. Not that I think this is not great overall, but as long as nothing happens to Digital Foundry, I can, accept. But like Digital Foundry is like they're like owned by Eurogamer, like a subsidiary of Eurogamer or something like that. So I can't remember. It's like some weird connection that they have to them, but I don't think that this is a good thing. I think there's already way too much consolidation, but like, I don't know.
It was more than I thought. So the business, the stuff they also bought includes shares in Outside Xbox, Digital Foundry, and Hookshot, which runs Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, and Time Extension. Haven't heard of the last one, actually, but yeah, that's
Time Extension. They're working on extending time, so we're really excited for what they're coming up
more
with
hours.
Yeah,
don't love that. But Digital Foundry, I agree, holds a very important niche in video game reporting.
Yeah, I like how quickly they are just like, oh, is there a Digital Foundry video on that? Because we should probably check that out. Like, it's just became a base thing for when a game comes out. Check Digital Foundry. Yeah. So that sucks. Hopefully not too many people are affected, and hopefully IGN Entertainment doesn't ruin the video game journalism business, because that would suck. But also, if they wanted to buy Subpixel, I would not say no. So hit me up, Mr. Davis, Ziff, if I may, and just ping me. I'm here, and you can ask me. Okay, that's the news for this week. Moving on. Okay, I need to ask a question. Did someone other than me put this wishlist spotlight here? Or did you guys put it here? Okay.
I did not.
I wasn't sure if I put it here or because this was also on Twitter, so feasibly either of you could have put this here. And I just wanted to make sure I was not going crazy. This
I'll be honest, it went to the next page and I didn't scroll that far, so I forgot this was even here.
Perfect. This week's wishlist spotlight is a sand, S-A-N-D, all caps, over on Steam. This caught my attention. It was going around on Twitter a little bit. It is an open world PvPvE game where you have these giant walking, hulking mechs that is your base, and you're walking around fighting other giant mechs in the sand desert. Basically Sea of Thieves, but on sand, and all the ships have legs.
It reminds me of like Mortal Engines a little bit.
Yes, that was going to be my. It's Mortal Engines, but on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
And it's also like, it's not Skies of Arcadia. It is Icarus Online. Is that what it is? There's that one where it's essentially this, but you're in Zeppelins and it's steampunk. And you have a crew.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It is very similar to that, and also a little bit. I don't know if anyone's seen the game Volcanoids, but that doesn't have. I don't think that has PvP in it. But this looks really fun.
Bad games. So.
There's supposed to be a beta this summer, 2024. Build gigantic tramplers, they're called, to conquer this hostile environment filled with mystical anomalies, monuments, and other players. Looks like it could be a really fun hit. I could see this being a Lethal Company or a Content Warning. Like it's got a big buzz for a while, and then it kind of tapers off, but there's a steady player base with it. Yeah, like I said, it was going around all on indie Twitter for a bit. It looks really neat. These GIFs are very gifable. It seems like a fun concept for a game that I haven't seen in a while. So
I do wonder if the original concept for this game was fucked up Jawas.
Yeah, I can see
believe
that.
it.
Because that's kind of what you want.
I could see one of the developers either really drunk or really high watching Star Wars and be like, what if we did that? And then they turned the movie off and started making the game. Yeah, it looks fun. It's got a cool aesthetic to it. So check it out. Sand on Steam. Go give it a wish list. It helps push all those games up and elevate them so more people wish list them, and these indie developers get that money.
I cannot wait for the people who don't like Sand to use the GIF of
Oh
I
yeah,
don't like sand.
It's
it's
coarse.
rough, of course.
It gets everywhere.
Gets everywhere. Oh God, what a movie.
So dumb. Love it.
That's gonna do it for the show, gentlemen. It was lovely having you here. I'm gonna hit the credit song, and then we
Almost
have
90 minutes.
I know, that's crazy. It's way past my bedtime.
I barely care enough to do an hour. I can't believe I stayed on. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. Yeah, David and Kyle usually just disconnect when they want to stop. Just it's too much for them. Okay, I'm gonna hit the outro button. Folks,
like 4-hour streams over on Say Data, you know?
4 hours.
Podcasts? Oh my god.
No, not podcasts.
Yeah,
Okay.
I couldn't do 4 hours.
Jeez.
Folks, this is
Well,
Love
there was
Chat.
that one time.
Jesus. We will be back next week. I will be live possibly tomorrow. Sorry, I've been busy this week, so I haven't done any of my unemployment enjoyment this week. But I will try to be back with more XCOM tomorrow. If not, I will definitely be back next Wednesday with more
Fire
XCOM. Fire Emblem is next weekend. We are going to do more Fire Emblem. I have to book that with Jason and Kyle. I am away this Memorial Day weekend, so we're not doing anything this weekend, but we will be back with Quiz Me Baby on Tuesday and other things. And Local Chat, of course, next week. Thank you, David, for being here. You can find him over at Save Data Team. Thank you, Kyle, for being here. You can find him on Twitter at Kyle the Beard. You can find me
I was
at
supposed to remind you of
270.
something.
Sun Books Films Hollow Sun Book Club on Tuesday. Make sure you're there.
Yes.
It's going to be great. 8 p.m. on the Discord. Bye.